Hello my scholars, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra, and in today's video we're going to be tackling the JAMB past question for literature in English year 2022. So please stay with us, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. So in this video we are going to be solving question 21 to 35. So let's begin with question 21. A dramatic type directed against an individual or a private institute with the intent to severely ridicule is called dash. Option A, lampoon. Option B, caricature. Option C, burlesque. Option D, satire. The answer to this question is satire. Option C is the answer to this question. What is burlesque? Burlesque is a comical imitation of something, especially in a dramatic work. Okay, so all of these options have something similar. They are all synonymous in a sense because they are all comical imitation of something. But then what makes burlesque unique is the fact that it happens especially in a dramatic work. So option C is the final answer to this question. Question 22. A time to sow, a time to reap, a time to born, a time to die. This exemplifies the use of dash. Option A, endidis. Option B, chiasmus. Option C, anaphora. Option D, anadiplosis. The answer to this question is anaphora. Now, option A, B, C, and D have one unique element, and that is the repetition of something. But then anaphora is the answer to this question because anaphora is the repetition of a group of word or phrase at the beginning of each successive line. Okay, so a time to, a time to, a time to, a time to. So we can see the repetition of this phrase in each successive line. But then what is endidis? Endidis is expressing one idea using two different words. So you are repeating the same thing, but you are using two different words, and you are combining it with the use of and. Okay, what's chiasmus? Chiasmus is the repetition of a phrase in reverse order. So when I say, I said what I meant what I said. Okay, so repetition. What is anadiplosis? Anadiplosis is when you repeat a group of words that occur at the end of a word. When you repeat it and you bring it to the beginning of the next line in a poem. Okay, so that's anadiplosis. But then the answer to this question is anaphora. Option C is the final answer to this question. Question 23. I am jealous and passionate like Jehovah, God of the Jews. So this is J.P. Clark Oloko. A device used in the second line of the excerpt above is dash. Option A, simile. Option B, paradox. Option C, metaphor. Option D, hyperbole. The answer to this question is obviously option A, simile. What is simile? Simile is the comparison between two things using like and as. Okay, so you can see like, I am jealous and passionate like Jehovah. Okay, so the answer to this question is option A, simile. Question 24. Dramatis personae in a play refers to dash. Option A, cast list. Option B, list of characters. Option C, protagonist and antagonist. Option D, order of appearance. The answer to this question is list of characters. Okay, so dramatis personae is a list of characters in a text, in a drama text. So option B is the final answer to this question. Question 25. An irredeemable reversal of the hero's fortune in a tragedy is called dash. Option A, purgation. Option B, peripeteia. Option C, hubris. Option D, anagnorisis. The answer to this question is peripeteia. Purgation is cleansing. Peripeteia means a sudden change of fortune in a story, a reversal of circumstances. If you've ever been in a situation where you're watching a movie and you expect or you envisage that this is something that should occur, but then you are seeing something, it's a reversal of circumstances, a sudden change of fortune in the story, okay? So that's peripeteia. When we talk about hubris is excessive pride or self-confidence. When we talk about anagnorisis, is when a character discovers another character's true identity. So then option B is the correct answer to this question. Please be reminded that you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past questions. All you need to do is you click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website. There you have to download Myschool mobile app for your Android phones and then Myschool software for your computers and laptops. Please go ahead and download and start practicing for your upcoming examinations. Now moving on to question 26. I hate brave cowards like you is an example of dash. Option A, irony. Option B, antithesis. Option C, eulogy. Option D, oxymoron. The answer to this question is oxymoron. What is oxymoron? Oxymoron is placing side by side two contradictory words. What are the contradictory words? We see brave and coward. Brave and cowards are two words that are contrasting in nature. Okay, so brave is the opposite of coward. Okay, so placing side by side two words that are opposite in nature is oxymoron. So option D is the final answer to this question. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 37. The narrator in a prose work who is also a character is dash. Option A, omniscient narrator. Option B, participatory narrator. Option C, objective narrator. Option D, subjective narrator. The answer to this question is option D, subjective narrator. Subjective narrators are narrators that are also characters in the text. A good example that I can cite right now is The Life Changer by Khadija. You see in the beginning of the text, we see Humi is the narrator and also an active character in the text, and that's an example of a subjective narrator. Okay, so basically they use the first person point of view, which is I, we, me, us, and all, etc. Both the singular and the plural form of the first person point of view. Okay, so the answer to this question is option D, subjective narrator. Question 28. Rays of sun peeping through the cloud. The line is an example of dash. Option A, synecdoche. Option B, irony. Option C, apostrophe. Option D, personification. The answer to this question is personification. Rays of sun peeping, to look quickly. Okay, so giving the attribute of a human being to an inanimate object is personification. So definitely option D is the final answer to this question. Question 29. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. William Blake, to see a world in a grain of sand. The predominant figure of speech used in the lines above is option A, metaphor. Option B, simile. Option C, paradox. Option D, hyperbole. The answer to this question is metaphor. Now, let's take for example the first line, to see a world in a grain of sand. What is Blake trying to say here? He's saying that the universe can be contained in a grain of sand. Okay, this does not literally mean that you can see the whole universe by just looking at grain of sand, but it's trying to say that catching a glimpse of something small as grain of sand can provoke you to imagine something bigger. So, and that is the whole point of metaphor. Metaphor is a direct comparison between two things. So we have the grain of sand and then we have the world. So having a look at a grain of sand or catching a glimpse of something very small can help us to imagine something bigger or connect us to something much more bigger. And that is the predominant figure of speech used in line 1, line 2, just basically the lines in the poem, especially in line 1 and line 2. So the answer to this question is option A, metaphor. Question 30. I had not taken the first step in knowledge. I had not learned to let go with the hands. The above lines is an example of a dash. Option A, apostrophe. Option B, alliteration. Option C, repetition. Option D, assonance. So the answer to this question is repetition. What is repetition? Repeating the same word, group of word or phrase. So you can see line 1, I had not taken. Line 2, I had not learned. Okay, so that's a repetition of a group of words. So option C is the correct answer to this question. Do you have questions you would like to ask? You can go ahead and ask your questions by using the link provided in the description below. Click on this link, it will take you to the Myschool website. There you can ask as many questions as possible and solutions will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now moving on to question 31. Chanson is a term denoting a dash. Option A, popular Korean verse. Option B, song from the Middle Ages. Option C, form of long song. Option D, poem of varied metrical forms. The answer to this question is songs from the Middle Ages, okay, and Renaissance. Okay, it's a French song from the Middle Ages and Renaissance. So the answer to this question is option B. Do you have other steps, explanation, or solutions to any of this question? Please feel free to share this with us. Indicate the question and the solutions you would like to share in the comment section below. Question 32. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the fury followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. Okay, so the dominant figure of speech in the above passage is dash. Option A, repetition. Option B, alliteration. Option C, paradox. Option D, rhyme scheme. The answer to this question is rhyme scheme. Do not forget, the question states that we should choose the dominant figure of speech. So the dominant is rhyme scheme because we can find this in each line of the poem. Okay, so as opposed to alliteration, we can find alliteration, which is a repetition of initial sound, but then it stops at what? At line 3. Okay, so we'll settle for rhyming scheme because we can find this in all 4 lines. So let's start with the first line, blue, the long oo sound, and we have A. Flew, also the same thing with the first line, so we have A. Free, the long E sound, so we have B. And the fourth sound, the fourth line, C, we also have B. So we have the rhyming scheme A, B, B. So option D is the final answer to this question. Question 33. Which of these is the oldest genre of literature? Option A, poetry. Option B, prose. Option C, aroma. Option D, drama. The answer to this question is obviously poetry. Poetry is the oldest form of literature. Poetry exists even way before writing. Okay, so the oldest form of literature is the African Egyptian poem, which is titled The Tales of the Shipwrecked Sailor, which dates back to approximately 2200 BC. So poetry exists way before writing came into existence. Okay, so option A, poetry, is the answer to this question. Question 34. A device used by a writer to recall past events in the literary work is dash. Option A, anticlimax. Option B, interlude. Option C, flashback. Option D, foreshadowing. The answer to this question is flashback. Flashback is a device used by a writer to bring past events into the present event. Okay, so the answer to this question is option C. Question 35. The hunter dies and leaves his poverty to his gun. The blacksmith dies and leaves his poverty to the anvil. The extra above is an example of dash. Option A, epic. Option B, eulogy. Option C, ballad. Option D, elegy. The answer to this question is elegy. But let's start with epic. What is epic? An epic is a narrative poem that details the adventure of a character from the past, telling us about his extraordinary powers or deeds, right? Then eulogy is a writing that praises someone or something. Ballad is a song that narrates a story in short stanza, while elegy is a lament for the dead. Now let's take a look at this. The hunter dies and leaves his poverty to his gun. The blacksmith dies and leaves his poverty to his anvil. So this is an elegy, a lament for the dead. So option D is the final answer to this question. We've come to the end of this amazing segment. I believe it was impactful. Thank you for joining us. Do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.